Introduce the panel. That wasn't Hall H energy, but you're going to give me that energy right now when we introduce Mick Garris. Keep it going for, oh, that's me. Keep it going for Tobias Selig. Keep it going for Larry Backney. Keep it going for Vanessa Shaw. Keep it going for Ari Katz. And a man who needs no introduction, the incomparable Doug Jones. All right. The cast and crew of Hocus Pocus. I love it.
Crew of one.
Crew of one. Crew of one. I guess I'll sit on the end. So, before we get to questions, I'm going to start us off to get the ball rolling. We'll be opening up for questions after, so don't panic. So guys, first of all, thank you for all being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good to be here.
Thanks, Vanessa. She's the only one paying attention. Excellent. Okay.
It's been 5 years
5
Right
years
down
since
to the day.
since we did the Hocus Pocus 25th anniversary special on Freeform.
Yes. Did you guys all catch that?
The cemetery.
Some.
8, good?
Well, now you're having your
It was
own
fun.
version of it, and everyone will be talking about this in years to come. So this is 30 years, guys.
Yes.
Remind us.
Only I have the hair to show for it.
So, 30 years later, what does it feel like to actually be rock stars now? Because back then, I mean, you know, we all know, and it's not a dish on them because I love the movie, but back then it didn't have a huge box office smash. All of you guys have made it what it is today. So what is it like 30 years later to be rock stars now, guys? Who wants to start off with that answer?
It feels like it finally is getting the recognition it deserved, and even more. It's like snowballed and surpassed the success I believe it should have gotten all those years ago. Thanks to all of you. And your kids, and your nieces, and your grandchildren, and your significant others, and the, you know, whoever loves it along with you, maybe not so much as you, but we'll tolerate it because you love it. So, so thank you all, really. It's truly amazing to have it get the recognition it finally deserves.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And because of you all loving it so much, we were able to do a Hocus Pocus 2. Thank you so much for that. Kind of surreal coming back and playing Billy again 29 years later. It's weird because I'm only 36. How did that happen?
And I'm still 16.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Still a virgin.
Me too.
So Doug, since you brought it up, Hocus Pocus 2, I do want to know how everyone on the panel felt about the film. I'm sure you've all seen it, but Doug, give us a little tidbit. Am I correct? The costume you wore was the same one you wore in the first one, correct?
No, the costume that I wore in the first movie was in David Kirshner's office, and it's kind of threadbare. It's been 29 years of fabric going. So they rebuilt it exactly to the specs of the first movie. The makeup was then resculpted too, because those original latex pieces had also gone over 30 years. The hair, the wig.
Sorry.
That was the same. They took the wig off the model in his office and put it back on my head for Hocus Pocus 2.
I'm kidding.
It was on a dummy, not a guy.
Wasn't buried? Okay, good.
No.
And after a 29-year pause, what was it like to be back on set?
Absolutely surreal. And seeing Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy and Jimmy all looking the same, and me looking exactly the same because I'm covered in rubber, so you can't see my aging, which is great. But what was different was too that when we made the first movie, everyone was excited to be there. It was a Disney movie. It was fun. But then coming back to the second one, it's like when the witches came on set, it was like the Beatles had come back, right? When I came on set, it was like Elvis is in the room. You know what I mean? It was like, the crew were all young people that had grown up watching the movie, so they were like, to work on it. So it was really, really a treat.
And the cast, because Mick, we know that you're special. Hold on, just the cast. You've seen it. Did you enjoy it?
Very much so. Yeah, I stayed up to watch it,
you know, when it first was.
You were the first to watch it. You were texting. Have you guys seen it yet?
I'm
Have
like,
you guys seen
somebody
it yet?
else has got to be watching this with me. I was trying to do a watch party, nobody joined me.
I'm really
But
sorry.
I needed that time because I needed to know, and it was.
Nobody
I
asked the
didn't. I
writer.
didn't like it. Love it. I loved Doug, and I loved the witches, the young versions. But then I watched it the next day when I wasn't as tired, and I'm like, it's good. It's great. It's great for this generation, and that captured the magic in a different way. But we sure missed being with you, Doug.
Oh, me too, you. I missed all of
We
you for
really-
sure.
And I think just
Loved
like,
it. Oh, I just said we would have loved to have been apart, but it's great that this is happening still. It's amazing. And without the Hocus Pocus 2, it probably wouldn't even be as it is now. So
I think just for me, like just seeing the characters come back to life brought back a lot of great feelings, but that was the best part for me, to see the new movie.
Originally, they weren't going to have the original Sanderson sisters. They were going to do a much lower budget version of the movie for the sequel for television, directly for TV. And I thought that would have been a disaster. So the greatest thing that could have happened was to bring the Sandersons back. Well, second greatest. Greatest would be all of these people back.
All together.
Love it. So Nick, while you have the mic, well, we all have mics, but it's a.
Metaphorically.
I was trying to do a transition and I just failed miserably at it. So Mick, you wrote the screenplay with David Kirshner, and what I'd like to understand. So back then, because David explained to me how he did the pitch to Disney. How much of a collaboration did the two of you have? How much of Hocus Pocus is just you? And well, let's start with those two. How much collaboration and how much of it is just you?
It was a huge collaboration. David originally wrote the story for the Muppet magazine. Originally, he told the story to his kids for a Halloween bedtime story. And so the basis for the Sanderson sisters was there. But I wrote the first 3 drafts of the script 8 years before the movie was shot. And it was a little harder edged. I don't know that would surprise anyone who knows me. But you know, they went through 11 other writers, but ended up going back to the original script that I had done and added some comedy punch up to make it a little more broad. But it was very much, David and I are very close friends. We worked closely together, but I worked on the screenplay on my own from his basic story idea. And so, you know, some of the favorite things I have that I brought to it myself were Doug's head coming off and leading himself around by his hand. And the creation of the characters and the relationship with Omri and his sister, and all of that stuff was, and the Danny character and all that, and Vanessa's character and that relationship, that will they kiss, won't they kiss, all of that kind of relationship was something that I was lucky enough to bring to fruition through, I guess, 3 drafts. Then there were literally 11 other writers on it after me. And the only credited one is Neil Cuthbert, who was a comedy punch-up writer.
Wow. See, I love this. We learn things new every day, don't we? And
I've known that for a long time.
now, you know, Mick, just so the audience knows, and you know, you're a director, producer, and writer, and you did a lot of television work, like Freddy's Nightmares, Masters of Horror, Once Upon a Time. You've done some films. The one that stood out for me, this is a personal thing for me, is they can ask their questions after. You directed Psycho 4, The Beginning, with Anthony Perkins.
I did.
And that, right? Look at, right?
The same 8 people saw that.
Now look, in our industry, in this industry, films like Psycho are what set the precedence in your world. And so what was it like to work, this is a non-Hocus Pocus question, sorry guys. What was it like to work?
Look at all the walkouts.
I know, right? What was it like to work with Anthony Perkins on a franchise that had become so synonymous with the industry of being a way to put a standard in place?
Well, what was amazing was that we had the same writer who did the original Psycho do our screenplay, Joseph Stefano. We had Tony Perkins there, who wanted to direct Psycho 4, but he had directed Psycho 3, and it was a miserable failure, critically and financially. And so it was a challenge because he was assigned the director of the timeless classic Critters 2. So I had to prove myself pretty often, but working from a script by the original author, and the executive producer, Hilton Green, was Hitchcock's first AD on Psycho. So we worked closely with him. It was a fantastic opportunity that any filmmaker who cares about the history of our genre, and of course it's the same audience as Hocus Pocus, right? Psycho 4 and Hocus Pocus. But
They can cross over.
just an amazing opportunity for anyone who cares about cinema.
Incredible. It's incredible. You know, so what we all have to remember, and I'm not taking anything away from my dear friends and the faces of the movie, it's what everybody is into. But without people like Mick and David and people like Spielberg and Lucas, we wouldn't have these movies to admire. The actors wouldn't have jobs. So we need to give it up for Mick and his side of the camera.
We wouldn't have anybody to write for without these beautiful people.
This is true. So that brings me to my next transition for the cast. I want to know what your audition process was like for Hocus Pocus. Who wants to start with that? Henri, you go.
I guess I'll start. So it usually starts off pretty competitive with a lot of people going up for the role. But like when it even came down to, let's say I thought was the final push, they were like, okay, thanks, and we'll get in touch with you. And literally like 4 months went by. 4 months, and then they're like, we're interested in maybe, would you still be interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. So they brought me in. That's when they brought me in to screen test directly with Vanessa. Or they did something with me, and it's kind of hard to remember. But they brought me in, and they screen tested me with Vanessa, and literally, like, I think days later, we were on board. That's from what I remember.
So you owe your job partly to Vanessa because you had good chemistry with her.
We did. We do. We still do. Yes.
Vanessa, what about you, your audition process for Hocus Pocus?
I apparently was like the last of the three of us, Thora. Thora was already cast. Omri was, narrowed down to him. And so they were looking for Allison. So I had auditioned with Kenny. I had auditioned with Kenny Ortega and did a scene of sorts and then walked out. And then all of a sudden I hear, Vanessa, from across the parking lot. And I turn around and it's Kenny running after me going, can you come back? I just want to do something else with you. And I was like, okay. And I don't remember what I did, what was different. But I was like, wow, the director is running after me. Not the casting director, not an assistant. He's like, hold on, come back, And so I did it again. And then literally, I think it was within 2 days at the most, I was screen testing with Omri. And it was supposed to be Omri and a little known actor named Leonardo DiCaprio were screen testing with me. And I was like, is there anybody else? Because I'm so used to being like what you were talking about, this, a huge competitive thing where there's probably 7 or 8 people, and then you see the other people in the audition room and you're like, hi, I've seen you in 7 of these auditions, with your competition, and that's just the way that acting goes. And there was nobody, and I was like, and then he backed out, Leonardo DiCaprio, the day of, and the casting director, Mary Gail Arts, was like, it's just you and Omri, and then Omri and I did it, and I was like, they're the ones, and I literally was like, this is weirdly the easiest audition I've ever had, one, and then I've asked people historically, and I don't know if you know this, Mick, I don't know, I was like, was there any other Allison choices? Because many people ask, who do you know was your competition, who you beat out, or who got the part over you in something? And I was like, I have no idea who any other Allisons were. I feel like there was nobody, and it was just like, step into this role. And I was like, this is very rare. No one ever gets to do it. So
I wrote it for you, Vanessa.
Oh, thanks, Mick. That's the ego stroking. No.
She's lying. She was the first person cast. Harry.
No. So weirdly, it was the most, the easiest job I ever had to audition for ever.
So Larry and Tobias, was it as easy for you?
Should we just talk together? I'll go. For it was, we are one. For, you know, it was a regular audition. I've been doing, you know, this since I was like 12 years old, so I was excited that I got the opportunity to go in and read for this character, and I knew right away what I wanted to do with it because I just graduated. I graduated from high school, folks, and I did Grease, the musical, and the character I did was basically Ice, but he didn't sing. So it was Sonny, and he was just a jackass and a funny, stupid, you know, teasing, you know, and I used that same role and I auditioned and I felt good about it, but I didn't hear for weeks, almost maybe even a month. And I heard that they were going to Chicago and New York to look for all these characters. And then I got a call back, and I went back for the call back, and that's where I met this guy who had been picked, and it was just us two. And we have a Polaroid even of that day we filmed.
No way.
And I was wearing my jean jacket. That's the jean jacket with cut off sleeves because that's how I book all my bully roles. I was ripped. And we just hit it off. Like, our chemistry in the room was so much fun. And then we stepped out. What did I do after that? You claim that they went out of the room, or we went out of the room, and I did a head spin or something. It was the era of breakdancing. I don't know if I did a head spin, but I attempted something. But yeah, that's how it was. And so when I booked it after this, it was the biggest job I booked to date. So
A short footnote. Guess who I know the longest of these people? Him. And it was because we did this TV show called Great Scott that Tobey Maguire starred in with Kevin Connolly, and that's when I became friends.
He wasn't going anywhere because the
Yeah.
thing got canceled.
Yeah, he wasn't going anywhere. But he was in many of the scenes, like singing his song. And I
was
still
a choir
remember those
geek
songs.
in the show.
Yeah, he was in the choir in the show, and I was the girlfriend that he was imagining all these crazy things with. But anyway, but I know him, and so when I saw him on set, I was like, Larry, like we literally saw each other maybe 6 months prior working on this other show. It just was a very small world as teenage actors in Hollywood, so
Yeah.
I've known him the longest.
It's funny. I didn't realize that.
Tobias.
Tobias, take it away, bro.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah. I love it. I'll keep this short. Well, what's fun about doing this in LA is most of you know where Santa Barbara is. We've told versions of this in Santa Barbara, where quite. But I was a teenager in Santa Barbara. I hadn't auditioned for films. So this was a cool one for me. This was like a Disney scout had come to a theater production.
No way.
Yes, and it like roundabout way led to auditioning for, and then back there you're doing community theater, you're a kid who loves acting, and so you get an audition, and I just didn't even know really, wow, right? So then it was going to Disney Lot and doing an audition. I mean, the drive, I feel like that was the first time I even drove to LA. It was, you know, and then we missed the turnoff. There's the 134, 101 split, and coming over Hollywood, and there's the Hollywood sign, and we got to pull a U-turn, and my mom's stressed out because we're hippies in Santa Barbara, so take Barnum, break it down to Disney, and yeah, it was like a cattle call audition. I think they were seeing a bunch of kids. I went in to read for Max, and they said no. No, but take 15 minutes and try this guy. And so I remember just really having fun with it, and then it was months. I swear it was like what Omri said. I feel it was like 4 months, and I remember a version of the script where we were riding motorcycles,
Smoking cigarettes.
Things Disney kids don't do.
Yes. Listening to Guns N' Roses, and I remember I really wanted the role, and so I started listening to Guns N' Roses a lot. Well, I was helping my dad, who was running a school in Santa Barbara, and yeah, then there was the callback all this time later. I go in, meet this guy, casting leaves the room, he starts doing head spins. I'm like, I like this guy. And it was it, but it was like the thing I love is it really was it was a different kind of, it was magical, it was simple. It was so simple. And I want to hear Doug's story though, because with how you got the role.
The pressure's on, Doug.
How does one audition for a zombie? Well, I'll tell you. Our director, Kenny Ortega, had a choreography background, dance background, so he was very movement-oriented, as am I. So we did my audition in a dance studio, and I was not the only one there that day. I saw another tall, skinny fellow in the lobby kind of practicing before I went in. He was being very like... he was being like scary. And I thought, this is a Disney movie. I think I'm going to go the goofy route. Well, thank heaven that worked. So I got in the room, Kenny Ortega was on one side of the room with a boom box with some music on it, like the Monster Mash or something. He wanted to play that, and because I didn't have any dialogue in the original, I don't think I spoke but once, maybe, in the original script. So they didn't really have dialogue for me to audition with, but he wanted me to go to the other side of the room, lie down dead, and wake up like I'm coming up out of the grave, stumble across the room, and look up and say something to a witch floating in the air. So I did all that, and the entire time Kenny Ortega was doing this. So I think I got the part, you know what I'm saying? And I also want to thank Mick because when we came to filming the scene where I finally cut my mouth open, I've got this one by the neck, and I'm taking a knife across both of us and go, and I spit out the script I had on that night. Said I was going to look up at Bette Midler and say, "Bitch," and that's it. I'm like, oh, again, Disney. So I pitched the idea. Thank you, Mick, for going. I think Kenny called you in the moment, or so, he called either you or David. I can't remember.
Oh, David.
Oh, was it okay to say like, here's an idea? Can we change it? And you guys let me, so thank you for that. And what we changed it to was a line I wrote myself, which was, "Wench, trollop, you buck-toothed, mop-riding firefly from hell." Thank you.
Better than anything I wrote.
I know.
And just so you all know, when they reached out to Mick, it was on a brick phone. So
Exactly.
You know what I'm just piecing together with that story, and I've heard it 1,000 times, Doug? I always pride myself on a little bit of Disney trivia, and Maleficent was always the villain, was the only villain to swear in Disney history, but it's not true because so did you.
I did.
And it's the same word. No, hell.
Oh, hell.
It's the same word. Maleficent said hell, and you said hell. I have to redo that whole thing. Okay. Wow. Okay,
Historic
moving on.
moment here, guys.
History being made.
Yes.
All right, now I'm going to do one more question for the cast before we open it up to questions from the audience. And the way the questions in the audience will work, our guy that was moderating and introduced me earlier, where is he? Hello. Did he leave?
Hello.
Okay, then while we're going to mix it, are you here? No, he's not here. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to come down into the audience with the mic and come to you, so you'll put your hands up and I'll run around like a chicken with its head cut off. So, last question before I go down there for the cast. And this is a non-Hocus Pocus question. We all know what you do in the industry and why you're famous and why we all love you. What is your hidden talent that we all don't know about? Hidden talent. The pressure's on. It can be a short answer. Larry, let's start with you because you look so blank, dead staring. I love it.
I know
Thank
what
God.
That you were looking at me knowing I don't know if I have any hidden talents.
Oh, I know.
What is that? Oh,
He's a musician and singer.
There you
And
go.
a really good one.
thank you.
And he has a CD at the booth for sale.
Yes, I have CDs available. A CD is a lot like a record, but how do you explain the it's like you download it. It's like a little, it's a coaster, like a coaster. No, well, thank you. I love music. Yes, that's my other favorite, I guess, passion. Here's something too. I speak fluent Spanish. Pumpin' Taco Yoko Ono. Thank you.
Awesome.
No, I do speak Spanish. Spent 2 years in Argentina. That's a lot of people probably don't know that.
Muy bueno.
Tobias, what's your hidden talent?
You know when you need to cook dinner or a meal and you haven't gone grocery shopping, but you really wish you could have a delicious meal? I can make that happen. Yes!
Awesome.
With the spices.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a hidden talent that I know my wife really appreciates. So yes.
I share that talent.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can't do that. You need your own.
I will, but I share that talent.
Okay,
Yes.
good, good.
And I have a microwave.
Good, good.
So-
It's a family.
Mick, what is your hidden talent?
Well, I was a singer in the 70s in a band as well, but probably I got my SAG card doing cartoon voices.
Wow. Name one cartoon that we all know so we can go watch it on YouTube.
On the Pink Panther, I've only done 2 episodes of Pink Panther. I'm a singing Mexican frog. I'm a very cowardly horse. And I'm Goldie the golden sheep.
I know these
I know.
characters. This is awesome.
If you do, you're the only one.
Sweet. Okay, Mr. Jones, what is your hidden talent?
Well, people know I can put my legs behind my head. I'm a contortionist, but I also cut my own hair. I do.
Now
I
that
share that talent
is
too.
truly
I've been doing
impressive.
that. I've been doing that.
Would you do
since-
mine?
I know. Someone needs to do yours.
Would you shave ice into my head?
No,
By the way-
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Just so you all know, Doug cut my hair before
No,
the
I
show.
did not. I didn't because.
Omri's talented at that too.
Yeah, he also cut
Hey,
mine. I'm wearing a
there
hat.
you go. I got many hidden
But
talents.
you've cut hair professionally.
I was a professional hairdresser for like 7 years. If you all didn't know about that, I've waited tables. I've sold mattresses. I've done all kinds of crazy things. Hidden talents. I don't know. I don't know what's hidden. I'm a very big board enthusiast. I'm a heavy surfer, snowboarder, skateboarder. I can cook meals out of scraps. And I play drums. Some of you might know that. Yeah, I also, I guess maybe
Do you have any other side businesses? Anything else?
No,
anything-
not at all.
No, okay.
Nothing green.
You can-
nothing
you can
that
do
sends
it
you to
all.
the clouds. Oh yeah,
He has a flower shop.
flower shop. Yeah, I'm a florist. Just so you all know.
That's way too
And,
many talents.
Yeah, multifaceted.
Okay, we're good, Omri.
multi-talented.
Stop talking.
One of those is
Okay, Vanessa, what's your hidden
Wait, I'm
talent?
not done, guys. I'm
Okay.
not done. All right, so that's number 10. All right, Vanessa. Vanessa Shaw, everyone.
Thank you. He's really humble, I promise. No. My hidden talent as well is haircuts, but I'm too slow for anyone. They're like, okay, not coming back to you again. But I do well. But my hidden talent also is singing. Been singing since I was 12. I went touring with a children's folk singer when I was a kid. Ran away with the circus in that way. I literally was with a circus. And then in a female barbershop quartet, I was the bass of the barbershop quartet. And I'm singing again. So I've auditioned, if you think of any movie musicals that you love, I auditioned for those with the directors. And I'm like, I have chops, so I'm going back to it. We were talking about auditioning for something that, we both want to go up for that's musically inclined. So yes, forever music.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you, cast, very much. All right, guys,
I
put your
think we can
hands
start
in
a
the
band.
air, and my runner with the microphone is back here.
I got one right over here.
Perfect, let's
Here we
go for it.
First one. Hey guys.
Where are you?
Oh, over here.
Hey there.
My question is for Tobias, who I think everyone here can agree has the greatest laugh ever in a live action Disney film. There it is. I just want to know what made you come up with that? Like, was that just something that they told you, or did you improvise?
I got
it?
this, Tobias.
Oh, okay.
I worked with him for a long time on this. It's just his laugh.
I think it was just a version, somehow my goofy bully version of my own laugh. I think but I do remember we came up, he is right to take partial credit because when we landed in Salem, which was the first time we were gonna work together, we had a day to play around with the scene up in our hotel room. And so the rhythm of our playing with each other, and I think even our little like all of that. But we got to play around with it, so I think it came out of just improvising and also getting to see, the rhythm working with Larry, like how we can play off each other. So somewhere in there it came up.
Somebody mentioned that they've got your laugh on their ringtone or something.
For years, apparently.
Oh my God.
Now that I mentioned, I'm going back. Like, oh wow. Yeah.
All right, on this side, the
Over
right
here?
side.
Right here?
Hi.
Hi.
My question's for just any of you guys in general, but do any of you guys have a favorite memory from on set?
Sure. For me personally, my favorite memories were when we got to work in the Sanderson house. That whole house was built from scratch. None of it was real, but it didn't have like movable walls. It was just the amount of detail that was present when you were there, and to see that on screen, it just like, to me, those are the most memorable moments.
I'd also like to contribute to this one because I was not involved for 8 years from the time I wrote it until the first day of shooting, where Kenny had so generously invited me to the set. And it was the first day of shooting, the sisters were there was flying, all of this stuff, and to see something I had worked on so long ago take shape and actually be real on the Disney Studios lot where I had shot Fuzz Bucket, my first directing job ever, on the Disney lot. And to see it take form with this fantastic cast and this beautiful set and the fantastic cinematography, all of that, this magic that was just from typing on a screen, and to see it come to life with all of these beautiful people, bringing to life something that was only an idea and seeing it made real was thrilling for me, one of the best experiences of my life.
So amazing.
All right, over here on the right.
Doug, was it hot inside the Billy Butcherson mask?
Oh gosh, did it look hot? Yeah, it felt exactly how it looked, yeah. Whenever you're wearing rubber over your own skin, it's going to get a little warm and moist. If I can use that word in front of all of you.
Not talking about a Disney movie, no.
No, wait.
Yeah, I am.
Go ahead.
Did you actually have moths in your mouth?
I did actually have real moths in my mouth when they came flying out. There was a latex sheath in there that was protecting them from the moisture of my mouth, because they have to be very dry or they won't fly, I was told. And so, yeah, so they fluttered up. This is before CG is what it is now. So they did stuff for reals back in the 1990s.
How did they convince you of that? Were you like, I don't know about this?
Because I just said yes to everything, Vanessa.
Yeah, I guess
so. Yeah, we're gonna put these bugs in your mouth, sure.
You're just, I bow down to you.
Stand up, sweetheart. Oh, you are standing? Sorry.
Awkward.
Whoops. I thought it's a kid. We can't see up here, guys. The lights are very bright. Yes.
This is for all of you. What was your favorite scene? Like that you were in?
My favorite scene is when he brings the witches back, because it wasn't me. For the same reason as he mentioned, because we were in a real practical effects house, and so the wood on the floor really moved, and the wind was blowing really loud, and the lights were popping, and the green lights were coming out of the ground, and we didn't have to act at all. It was all there. It was like we were screaming our heads off and we couldn't even hear our own voices, so I literally feel like this should be a ride at Disneyland where people light the candle and they experience what we experience, because I literally would love to experience that every single day of my life. It was the best ride ever.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Heard it first here, folks.
And Disney's new director of attractions,
Yeah.
Vanessa Shaw.
Vanessa,
However-
it'll only take another 30 years for that to happen.
Oh, that's true.
However, they won't pay you for it.
Yeah, they won't pay me for it. And they won't even give me credit. But you guys will witness.
Okay, guys, there actually could be Disney people in the audience. We love Disney!
Yes, can we please
Disney
Disney
rocks.
I'm not trying to get a job with Disney, so.
Hocus Pocus.
I'm not tempering you guys.
All right, we're gonna do one more, and then trust me, you guys will like this. So yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is for all you guys in the panel. Did you take anything from set after the movie done? Or would you have liked, if you didn't, would you have liked to go back in time and take it again?
I left a few things like my dignity and pride. I got to go back there and check. Did you happen to see those?
My sanity. Yeah, I left.
I left with
I stole them.
the word ice in the back of my head. For real. That took a while to grow in.
Oh, by the way, here's your dignity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My pride.
I walked away with my Billy Butcherson makeup latex after it was taken off. We used a few throughout the movie, but I kept one of them, and I kept a pair of Billy's gloves as well. I still have the gloves, but the mask, the face, is living in a Planet Hollywood somewhere in Minnesota that might be closed down by now. I don't know if they're still in business. I don't know. I shouldn't have given that away, should I have?
Darn it.
I
No,
know.
yeah, looking back, you're like, damn, I should have kept that. I kept one of the, there was 5 of those green bikes, so I stole one of those off the set. Well, I begged the producers to give it to me, but I had to do a lot of begging. And I still have the tie-dye shirt I wore, or one of them. So I still have that. And
He lives just down the street. You can just try to find him, and maybe they can break
Yeah,
in and steal it back.
I'll be wearing a tie-dye.
I have Allison's earrings, silver earrings that she wore throughout. And I could kick myself. I have a vague memory of the costume designer saying, "Do you want the red hooded cloak?" And I said no, because I'm a weird, awkward teenager. No, I'm okay, I'm fine, I don't want it. And what the heck? I should have had my mom like steal it behind my back or something, but I could kick myself, yes, for that one.
I took home a career.
That's the best.
Long lasting.
All right, so.
I mean, we all did, really.
Wait, are we good?
Anyone else?
Go ahead.
Did you take away your blonde hair?
All I still have is the shooting script that we had. So that was cool. That popped up only 5 years ago in like the box of my mom. It was that and the note signing guardianship when Larry became my legal guardian.
Yes.
Those are the 2 things I still have.
I framed that.
So Larry became his dad. No, I'm kidding.
Who's your daddy?
This is very confusing for people who don't know about the business. So you can't work by yourself without your parents unless you have a legal guardian with you. So
If you're under 18.
Under 18. So Larry was over 18, so he
I
became
just
his
turned.
legal guardian.
He turned 18.
While we were shooting about
While we
halfway
were
through.
shooting it, we had the bright idea if we could convince my mother to sign over guardianship, you and I can be at the Sheraton Universal alone
Solo.
with per diem,
Yes.
room service. And she said yes.
Yeah, she's like,
She
the
stayed
drive
in
is
Santa
so
Barbara.
long. Save gas.
Excellent parenting.
All right, so guys, do me a favor. Vero, come here. Take my camera.
Vero.
This is Larry.
My lovely fiance,
Lovely
everybody.
fiance. I want you to take some pictures for me. So listen, this is a little weird for a panel because we have a surprise for you all, but the cast has graciously, they're going to give up part of the stage for what we're going to do for you, which is unusual. So the reason I've handed her my camera is because I'm actually going to do a farewell for everybody with the cast, but, do me a favor, don't get up and leave because the panel's not over. The cast is just going to step away for a minute, except for Mr. Jones. But this is your chance to get your last photos. I'm going to introduce the cast once again. They're going to stand. We're all going to get photos. And then Vero's going to take a picture of me at the very end, kneeling in front of you because my picture's up there and I feel important. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mick Garris, Tobias Jelinek, Larry Bagby, Vanessa Shaw, Henri Katz, and Doug Jones. Grab your pictures. Grab your pictures. Don't stop clapping, Hall H. It's dying, it's dying. Come on, Hall H! Rock it! Rock it! The cast of Hocus Pocus. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, now Mr. Jones is going to stay here.
This is so